city of Erie. We can call the meeting to order. And Tessa, do you want to take roll call?
Yes, sir. All right, I'm going to call the roll for the meeting. Mr. Johnson,
Here.
Ms. King,
Here.
Mr. Dawson,
Present.
Ms. Gunchin,
Present.
and Mr. Manella.
Here.
Yeah, I'd like to welcome PJ Manella and Laura Gunchin to the zoning hearing board. Welcome additions. We need a motion to approve the minutes of the March 9th meeting.
Ed, you're muted. I think Ed's trying to say something, but he's muted.
So move.
We have a second.
I'll second. Selena.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. We have appeals to be heard, and I'll let Tessa take it from here.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the first appeal we have is appeal number 12247 by Kulwat Singh concerning property located at 2617 and 2619 Cherry Street. The appellant is seeking a use variance to operate a gasoline service station and a convenience store in a medium density residential zoning district. Per section 204.12 of the city zoning ordinance, a gasoline service station and a convenience store are not permitted uses in the R2 zoning district.
Okay.
So I believe we have Rose Nori present to speak to the appeal. I'm allowing her to speak right now.
Hi.
And Rose, 1 second.
Okay.
Anybody that's going to testify today needs to be sworn in by our court reporter. Shannon?
Whoever's going to testify, I need you to raise your right hand, then I need you to state your name and say, I do. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. My name is Rose Nori.
Rose, are you representing Mr. Singh today?
I am. He is present
Okay.
in case you need to speak with him.
Okay, very good.
He needs to be sworn in.
All right.
Can you raise your right hand to be sworn?
Yes.
You swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, Rose, are you the spokesman?
Yes, I am.
Spokeswoman?
Yes, I
Okay.
am. Spokeswoman.
There you go. You want to tell us what your plans are, or what Mr. Singh's plans are for the southeast corner of 26th and Cherry?
Yes, be happy to. It is presently for sale. We did put an offer in on this property. There are 4 lots that are there altogether. In my letter, I did include the index numbers as well as a map. I hope that you all have that in front of you. 2 of the index numbers of the property are zoned for a gas station, and 2 of the other index numbers are not, because the previous owner of Lakeside Auto, I guess, demolished the houses that were there, and he only needed it for automobile parking. But of course, a gas station is needed in this location. The next one is over a mile away. This will help the community. I also provided some statistics there for you in my letter. Sorry, I apologize. And we are requesting that all 4 lots are able at this time to become a gas station. And we also provided a little sketch of how it would look.
Okay, Rose, you say the closest convenience store gas station is a mile away. Where's that at?
It is the Country Fair on, no, I think it's,
Liberty and Brown Avenue.
there you go. I think Liberty and Brown Avenue, correct.
Pardon me?
Liberty and Brown Avenue.
Okay, very good. Thank you. And then, does Mr. Singh have plans to develop a convenience store gas station at 18th and Cherry?
Yes, he does.
Okay. Okay, anything else you want to add, Rose?
Well, as I said, I think it would be a really good benefit to the community. You know, Erie, we see people vandalizing these vacant properties. This has been vacant for some time. Once again, I apologize. I'm trying to mute my phone and for some reason it's not muted. Okay, apologize. The nearest gas station is a distance away because of the community. I think only, if you look at the statistics, 93% of this community drives, so they need gas. He's also going to hire people for jobs, as he's put a very nice, his other properties on 18th and Cherry and East Avenue, as well as East Lake Road, as you can see, they've increased the value of the neighborhoods. He's going to put over $1 million into this location. He's going to enhance the property values, as well as none of his stations are run down. They're all very vibrant. They're all very clean. They serve a good purpose to the community. He doesn't allow any kind of panhandling or any kind of illegal type of activity.
Will they sell alcoholic beverages at this location, Rose?
Maybe sometime in the future.
Okay. And is Mr. Singh going to use the existing structure, or is he going to demolish it and build a new building?
He's going to use the existing structure that is there in the far end of the parking lot, which is currently the garage. It's a beautiful building, but he is going to take down the smaller office structure on the corner.
So the actual sales office for the auto dealer, that building will come down?
Yes.
Okay.
And as you can see it in the sketch that we provided.
Okay. And are there tanks in the ground now?
There are, we've been told, we are in the currently doing a phase 2 right now. We do not have the report back yet. I have been waiting for Mr. Rubino to supply that to us. However, we've been notified that if there is any kind of contamination, it will be handled.
Are you going to put 3 tanks in the ground there at
Yes,
the
he is.
site?
Yes, he is.
Okay. And then how are you going to have 8 pump or 4 8 pumping stations?
5 pumping stations,
Pardon me?
5 islands.
Okay. I see 4 on the drawing.
Apologize for.
Okay, any of the rest of the board members have questions for Rose?
Mr. Chair, I do.
Ms. King?
Yes. Hi, Ms. Lori. I just have a couple of questions. You did say that there was a gas station was located over a mile away, and there is one on 36th and Cherry Street, which is like 0.6 miles away from where you're proposing.
38th and Cherry.
I'm sorry?
Yes.
There's one on 38th and Cherry, not
Well,
36.
it's actually 36. There's a quick fill on 36th and Cherry. I just looked it up on my phone. It's the one that sits right behind Erie High. In the cross from the Dairy Queen.
Yeah, that's 38. That's
No,
at the corner of 38th and Cherry.
38 is the stoplight where the country fair sits and Liberty Tax. That's
Okay, maybe they all merged there.
in a mile. So I was concerned about that. And then also, are you guys planning to do a traffic study at all? Because that's already a busy intersection. Do you know how that would increase the
No,
traffic or anything in that area?
we were not planning on doing a traffic study. I apologize. Maybe I can ask Mr. Rubino if that has been done yet or not. I know at one point in time, many years ago, this location was a gas station. And then, you know, that was back in the day when I was a child. So, you know, I don't know why that closed up. Maybe it was financial reasons, whatever. But this community needs a gas station closer to be in walking distance. People want to cut their grass. They need to be able to walk, to be able to get gas for their lawnmower, for their snow blower.
Okay, well, thank you. That answered my questions.
Thank you.
Ms. Nuri, this is Attorney Wagner. I have to write the report here, so I want to just go over a couple of small points so I make sure I have them right for the report. What is your relationship to the appellant? Are you the real estate broker? Do you work for Speed Checks? You just said you're kind of representing him, but you never really identified what your
I
relationship
apologize.
is. Pardon me?
I am his real estate agent.
Okay. Miss King is correct. That's on 36th Street. The YMCA and the Walmart parking lot are on 38th. And there's one other incorrect statement in your statement. And I just want to bring it to your attention so that I can have your permission to correct it for the record.
Absolutely.
I happen to know that that place was still operating as a repair shop as recently as October of 2019, because I got my car inspected there. So it's not been closed for 3 years. So do I have your permission to change that?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I did Google it, and I try to find the information on the computer, on the web, to find out when they were doing business. And that's what I found from that type of literature. So if it is incorrect, I apologize.
Well, thank you. And I have one other comment just in general, Mr. Chairman. I would be very surprised if those old tanks are still there. I happen to know the other station on 21st and Peach and another one that used to exist on 29th and Cherry were removed years ago. Those had been former gas stations that were converted into other things. So there was an EPA edict back in the late 70s, early 80s. I'd be very surprised if there's still tanks there.
Mr. Rubino, who has the property listed, Don told me that there were tanks still in the ground there, filled
Okay.
with sand.
Oh, okay. Well, I stand corrected.
Anyway, that's secondhand from Mr. Rubino. Any of the board members have any questions?
Mr.
Okay,
Chairman.
hearing none.
Oh, Mr. Chairman, I have one
PJ,
additional question. Yes, sir. Thank you. Has any of the surrounding neighbors been asked about this, and do they feel, what are their feelings about it?
Well, actually, I have an uncle that literally lives about 3 blocks away, and he's excited. He thinks it's great because some of the other gas stations, I guess, that are in other vicinities near him, in the wintertime, they don't seem to be keeping up with the snow and the ice, and he's elderly. He's very familiar with Lucky's other locations. Lucky does keep up with the snow and the ice and his properties very, very well. during the summer and the winter. So he's very excited. His name is Maurice Kaluzny, and he lives at 4 Stafford Avenue.
To the chair and to Rose, this is Ed Dawson. She really can't speak for someone else, so we either need their testimony or something in writing from them.
Sure.
So I would ask that that information not be in the records.
Very good. Is Mr. Singh present?
He is.
Okay. Mr. Singh, what will the days of operation be and the hours of operation? How many days a week will you be open, and is it a 24/7 store?
No, sir, it's 6 a.m. to 1 a.m.
Pardon me?
6 a.m. to 1 a.m.
6 a.m. to 1 a.m. Okay. And the information that Mrs. Norrie gave us, was that all accurate?
Yes. Yes,
Pardon me?
yes.
Okay. I have a hard time hearing you. Tessa, who was notified in the area that someone had applied for a variance for a convenience store gas station?
Well, we did post the property a little over a week, well, both properties a little over a week before, as is required by the zoning ordinance. And we also printed the announcement in the newspaper twice.
And do we send out to any of the neighboring properties a notice that this is going to happen?
We do not send letters out for
Okay.
use variances.
All right. Any other board members have any more questions?
To the chair, there should be testimony, ask for testimony for or against.
Yes.
Okay.
Right. I just want to see if the board had anything first.
I did have one more, but I'm waiting for Dawn to,
I missed the last part of that question. I'm sorry.
It was the chair should ask for those for and against before the board so that they may ask their questions once instead of 3 or 4 times because of different testimony.
You mean for Ms. Norrie and for Mr.
For anyone that's going to testify, they should testify so the board hears the entirety of the proposed for and against.
All right. Well, I'll ask, is there anybody that wants to speak in favor of
There you go.
this variance? Is there anyone that would like to speak in favor of this variance? The last time, is there anyone that wants to speak about voting in favor of this variance?
Other than me?
Yes.
Hopefully lucky.
Of course, he wants to speak. We have also, well, she was not sworn in, but we do have his administrative assistant here.
Good.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to make a note for the attendees. If when you do want to make a comment, can use the raise hand function at the bottom of your screen. I do see a hand raised, so I'm going to allow them to speak. It's Sydney Zimmerman. Okay, looks like I'm going to have to promote Sydney to a panelist because they're using an older version of Zoom. So it'll take just a moment.
Cindy sworn in, do you know?
Yes.
There she is.
Hi there. I didn't realize I was going to be on camera today. I apologize. So I've taken myself off camera. Do I need to be on camera to be sworn in?
No, you do not.
Okay.
Raise your right hand to be sworn.
I will be on camera in just one moment, please. I know you said no, but I prefer to do it this way. Okay. Left, right, right. Okay.
You swear or affirm the testimony about to give you the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
State your name.
My name is Sydney Zimmerman.
And what do you have to say today to us, Cindy?
My name is Sydney, like Sydney, Australia. I actually grew up on 32nd and Erie, and I live down on 9th and Chestnut. So that area I'm familiar with that you guys are speaking about. There is a country fair on 26th and State. There's also the country fair on Liberty and Brown, and there's the quick fill that you guys were speaking about. All of those gas stations are less than a mile away from the proposed site. I did want to mention that first and foremost. Secondly, I have a great concern for community.
Okay, I'm sorry. Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. You're breaking up. No.
She's got her
How about now?
voice on. She's listening to herself.
Can you hear me?
May I add something?
She's still speaking right now. You can't.
Can folks hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not sure where I lost folks. I'm familiar with the area. 26th and State has a gas station. Liberty and Brown has a gas station, as well as the quick fill that was mentioned previously. That's 3 gas stations within a mile of the proposed site, as well as a Circle K convenience store right across the street. I am a huge proponent of community decision making.
I can't understand her.
With us, Cindy?
She put in the chat that she has an Ethernet connection, so I don't know if it's going to improve much.
Can people hear me?
Yes, right now.
I heard a no and a yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Once again, there are 3 gas stations within a mile of this proposed site, as well as the convenience store across the street from the proposed site. I'm also a proponent of community decision-making. It was mentioned that the community is excited for this gas station to be put in. When asked for reference of which community members, only the uncle of the real estate agent could be named. His excitement is due to code enforcement or errors that seem to be due to code enforcement in regard to, ice and snow. I personally would like to see more community input on whether or not this is necessary for this area before a variance is provided. I greatly enjoy the speed checks. I enjoy the prices that they provide for gas. I enjoy the environment within the store, but I do not think this is necessary at this area, at this location.
Is there anybody else to speak against the variance?
May I comment on Sydney's?
Who?
Hang on a second, Rose. Just for the record then, Sydney, because the chair really never called for it, but you were speaking against this proposal. I think that's pretty obvious. But I just want to make sure it's in the record. You were speaking in opposition. Sydney, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I was speaking in opposition at this time until further information can be provided that this is necessary or wanted by the community.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that opposes the variance? Is there anyone else that opposes the variance being granted? Last call. Is there anyone that in opposition of this variance that would like to speak? Okay. Any of the board members have a comment?
I think Rose had wanted to make a rebuttal, Mr. Chair.
Yes, please.
Okay,
Yes,
go
please.
ahead, Rose.
Well, just in regards to Cindy's comment, Sydney, I apologize, Sydney's comment. She does not live in the nearby vicinity of this location, as well as the information that I received of other gas stations of being a mile away, is we have the information in our multiple listing service, which I'm sure that you're familiar with, Jeffrey and PJ. They're the ones who provided me that information of other gas stations being over a mile away. So I at least wanted to give you some data of where I received my facts from.
Thank you, Rose.
In regards to the properties that Sydney had mentioned with Circle K and the Country Fair, that's really not what our motive or our motto, I should say, is in Erie. We're living local. We want to be able to buy from local. You know, Lucky, he's done a tremendous amount of positive improvement in a lot of areas that they were really diminished. And he is local. He's lived here. He's provided jobs to local people. I think that's a lot better than Circle K, who is a corporation, and as well as Country Fair. You know, I think since Erie advertises living local, buying local, that's what we should do.
Thank you. Is there anyone else on the board that has a comment?
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry, I have one more comment, and it's really a question towards Dawn and Tessa. If this variance is approved, are we supposed to put the condition on with the planting strips that should be used as a screen, with, because I know there are homes on the other side of that property?
I think that was the question that I missed earlier. I'm going to defer to the zoning office. I'm not familiar with what the regulations are there, but if the regulations call for it, I think that would be appropriate, Selena.
Okay.
Really,
And I'm wondering, for those who have the code
Tessa,
book,
Jake, does the code call for a screening?
Any screening requirements would be addressed at the time of a site plan submittal in conjunction with a building permit. So there's really no need for the board to make that stipulation.
okay, because I was just reading at 305.12 and wanted to make sure we were doing what we're supposed to do, because it addresses that.
There is presently a large stockade fence that is there. It's facing north and south. I guess it's a barrier for the one residential property next door. However, there is nothing on the other side. And Mr. Singh would not, he'd be in agreement to putting anything there that's required.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions before we call for a vote?
To the chair, I think we have approved a couple of the proposed gas stations that he's done in the past, and he's done a good job of. And you're talking about infusing another $1 million into the Erie community. I think that's stupendous, and I'm sure after he gets through with the tax break that he's going to get, that he'll be a contributing factor to our tax base. So I'd like to call for the vote if you're ready.
Tessa?
Yeah, sorry, Mr. Chairman, I just saw that Councilwoman Schaaf also just had raised her hand.
Who was that?
Councilwoman Schaaf has her hand.
Okay. All right, we'll hear her.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm sorry to, I had some technical
Hold on.
issues.
She's going to be sworn in. Need you to raise your right hand to be sworn.
Okay,
Do you swear or affirm the testimony about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
yes.
Your name and address?
Kathy Schaaf, 2437 East 43rd Street, Erie, Pennsylvania.
Thank you. Continue.
I apologize. I had some technical issues. I'm on my phone and not my computer, and was trying to raise my hand and wasn't able to do that until I figured it out earlier. I am not like per se for this or against this, but there is the issue that we do as a city need to be more aware of letting our residents know what's going on. And perhaps it has to go back to that era where you spent more money and put signs on the telephone poles or delivered stuff to people's houses. I remember more awareness of things so that people in that area who may have wanted to voice their concerns are not doing so simply because they didn't pick up the newspaper and saw the public ad. This is not just for this thing, it's for everything that you are doing on the zoning board as far as you need to make the community more aware. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. And Tessa, I can attest to that in prior years, there was a circumference, and maybe it was 500 feet from the site, that we would notify people in that area, in that circumference. You could check on, I can't swear that it's 500 feet, but there was something that we used to mail out to those people.
Can I say something? Because it's been since I've been on the board for the last 6 years. In that time, we did vote at one point because of budgetary constraints on the zoning office to no longer do the mailer and to do to follow the rest of the protocol in the legislation that's out on the 500 feet, and then making sure that it was posted on the property and put in the newspaper. We were allowed to do those two things. So I'm not sure where in the minutes that is, but we did vote to stop the mailing because of the cost.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
I also agree with my board member that I like to stay consistent. And so what we have been doing is consistent. And so we may get some backlash from people who felt like they didn't give an opportunity before. But one rule applies to all, and we've posted it for notification purposes. So I think you've done what you're supposed to do at the board, and as well as at the office of the zoning office.
Thank you. Tessa, you want to call for the vote?
Yes, sir. Maybe we have a call for the vote. Ms. King?
Sorry, I was muted. I would like to support the project, but I'm very concerned about the increase of traffic in that area, and it's already a very busy intersection and area. And I can't comfortably say yes to this, so I'll have to vote no.
Okay. Mr. Dawson?
I'm quite familiar with the work that this group has done before in several areas of our community, and the value added with their products that they produce and the people that they hire, the reduction of crime and the additional lights that are available. I'm aware that he does exactly what he says he's going to do, and he has put in quite a bit of money into the area. I would think he would be value added, as well as being able to support employment for people in that area. I live around the area, and I'd love to have a gas station that we could go to, and additional gas stations. So I'm in favor of this.
Ms. Gunchin?
I agree with Mr. Dawson. I'm also in favor. Thank you.
Mr. Manella?
I'll be voting yes, thank you.
And Mr. Johnson?
I'm going to recuse myself from this decision.
Okay. We have 3 yeses and 1 no, and the appeal is approved.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, Tessa. Next appeal.
Next up on the agenda, we have appeal number 12248 by Rose Hepler concerning property located at 3305 Pittsburgh Avenue. The appellant is seeking a change of a non-conforming use to another non-conforming use to operate a daycare center in a low-density residential zoning district per section 204.10 of the city zoning ordinance. A daycare center is not a permitted use in the R1 zoning district. And let's see, we have Rose Hepler here to speak to the appeal. I'm going to allow her to speak.
Well, let's have her sworn in first, please.
Do you raise your right hand?
Yes.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
And Tessa, is there anybody else that looks like they're going to speak on this variance?
Rose may be able to answer that. I believe that Darlene Vlahos may want to
Yes.
speak too. Is that correct, Rose?
Yes.
Is there
Okay,
anybody
then
else?
we should swear. Is there, so there's just the two, Rose and Darlene?
I think so.
Yes.
Okay, then why don't we swear Darlene in now?
Do you raise your right hand to be sworn?
Yes.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, Rose, you want to take the lead, or Darlene?
Sure. I'll tell you a little bit. My name is Rose Hepler, and I've had a family daycare in my home for 17 years. And I am ready to expand and get the daycare out of my home. The property at 3305 Pittsburgh Avenue is very close to where I live. Great location for a daycare. The square footage would only allow possibly up to 17 kids. So it wouldn't be like there's 50 to 100 parents coming and going there. I think it would be a great location to this area over here in West Mill Creek on the line of Pittsburgh Avenue there. There's been, with COVID, there's been some daycares that have closed. So this would be a great benefit to the community. What else would you like to know from me?
Board members have any questions for Rose at this time?
To the
If
chair,
not, yes.
Is there a proposed play area or something there?
Yes, in the behind the building, there is a 45 by 14 and a half grassed in area. And then there is also a 70 by 10 and a half cement area for the kids to play with chalk, ride their little coupe cars.
Is there a age group, or you're open for anyone who comes?
Infants through maybe into school age, especially in the summertime.
Are you familiar with the lighting in that area?
As in the outside lighting area, sir?
For example, are you going to be 24 hours, or are you
Oh,
only during the
no.
day?
No, hours will be possibly 6:30 to 5:30, depending on
client's needs, maybe 6 o'clock.
That's all for me.
Okay, Ms. Vlahos, do you have comments?
Yes, I do. I can address the issue regarding the lighting on the building. I have security lights around the building. So if you remember, the property used to house not only my law office, but also my father's accounting office. And he was open from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. So in order to have safety for clients or employees, we have excellent lighting all around the building. Also, one of the issues that I see in the ordinance relates to the parking lot and how the children are dropped off and picked up. And I did supply or provide Tessa with one of my excellent drawings of the parking lot. And I'd like to amend the application for the variance to add that to what Rose Hepler already submitted. But the way that the parking lot currently stands is there are two entrances. There's a south entrance and a north entrance. And the U-shaped protocol as required would totally be satisfied. There are also handicap parking spaces that are designated. And I don't believe that that is on your aerial view of the parking lot. The aerial view was taken before I had the parking lines designated. The premises would qualify as a family daycare home because the zoning code provides that any premises, doesn't have to be a home, can provide care for 4 to 6 children that are not related. Using the office space as the daycare center does increase the number of children that will be cared for, but is an operation in a larger space. I don't believe that there will be an issue with the number of people that are at the building at one time. I will be retiring at the end of the year, so I won't need any of the parking spaces. And again, during tax season, when my father was in business, we could have 20 or 30 different cars in the parking lot at any particular time. This business will have a concentration in the morning and in the evening. So there's not going to be a constant stream of cars in and out of the parking lot. I also believe that moving the business from Rosa's home, which is in Mill Creek, to the other side of Pittsburgh Avenue that is in the city will benefit the city. She'll have employees, she'll have revenue, and having the daycare center in this building will be a great advantage for individuals in the area that are looking for daycare.
Thank you.
You're
Mr.
welcome.
Chairman, may I?
Yes.
I want to speak to both of you. First of all, Darlene, hello.
Hi.
I want to inform the board that I've known Ms. Vlahos and her father for many, many years. Darlene, would you agree that you and I have not worked on a case together in at least 3 to 5 years? And when we did, they were cases completely unrelated to anything we're talking about today?
That's correct.
I can attest to what a fine building, excuse me, that is. It's what was one of the nicest law offices in the city. But Darlene, I did have one question, and you kind of touched on it. The one concern I had when I read this was the contour of your parking lot was kind of a steep hill. Did I understand you to say that that's been kind of revised? Did you say that, or did I misunderstand you? When you said that the parking had been changed?
I did not address that, but it has been revised. I had a new parking lot, new concrete that was installed in, I believe it was 2017.
Thank you.
Not 2017, it was 2018. So the slope is not as steep as it used to be.
Thank you. And then Rose, I just want to make sure that I wrote these down because I was writing really fast. Did you say that you've had your daycare center in operation for 25 years?
Oh, no, sir. 17 years.
17. I wrote 17 children. How many? I obviously wrote that incorrectly. How many children, you said, would you be able to accommodate?
With the square footage, possibly up to 17 in that.
Okay, so I did write that correctly.
Yes,
Okay, I think those were the only corrections. Thank you.
yes.
Okay. Is there anyone else to speak in favor of this variance? Is there anyone else to speak in favor of this variance? Last call. Anyone want to speak in favor of this variance? All right, with that said, is there anybody in opposition to this variance? Is there anyone in opposition to this variance? Is there anyone in opposition to this variance? None heard. Board members, anybody have questions before we call for a vote?
This is a non-conforming use, so is there a hardship or is there something why we're going to this area?
Well,
Question.
am I supposed to speak, sir? Okay.
Hmm?
One, it's very close to my home. As being in business for 17 years, I have acquired a lot for a daycare. That's one. I've looked for the past at least 6-7 years for spaces. This seems to be the best fit for me. I'm not ready to go too big, but I did want to expand out of my home. I don't know if it makes a matter, but I also have a teenage special needs son. He will be within minutes of me if he was to need anything.
Board members have any more questions?
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes.
For the record, I would like to remind Rose that to register the daycare with the city regarding fire protection and annual inspections.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
A little bit different than Mill Creek.
I'm familiar with that. Thank you, though.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions from the board members? If not, we'll call for a vote. Tessa?
We have a call for a vote.
I didn't hear that.
Sorry, I said we have a call for the vote. Ms. King?
I vote yes.
Mr. Dawson?
I'm a little reluctant because I haven't heard that related to the property, but I'm in favor of increasing Erie's tax base and reductions from Mill Creek to help us. So I'll vote yes.
Ms. Gunchin?
I vote yes.
Mr. Manila?
I vote yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
I vote in favor.
And Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Okay, we have 5 yeses and the appeal is approved.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, with that said, Tessa, moving right along, go to the next appeal.
Okay, next up, we have appeal number 12249 by Jeff Kidder concerning property located at 463 West Front Street. The appellant is seeking a dimensional variance to construct a single-family dwelling in a waterfront residential zoning district. Per section 205.24, each side yard shall be 3 feet per story above the second story, requiring the least side yard to be 6 feet, while a least side yard of 3 feet 1 inch is being proposed. And per section 205, the maximum lot coverage for the waterfront residential district is 50%, while a lot coverage of 61.5% is being proposed. And per section 205.23, the minimum distance between any street property line and any garage doors facing the street shall be 20 feet, while 0 feet is being proposed.
Tessa, can you tell me, besides Mr. Kidder, does there look like there's going to be anybody else that will testify?
In terms of the application, I do not believe so, but Mr. Kidder, am I correct in saying that?
Yes, yes, you're correct.
Okay, so we only have to worry about Mr. Kidder being sworn in.
Okay, can you raise your right hand to be sworn?
Yes,
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, Mr. Kidder, the show is yours.
All right, thank you. My name is Jeff Kidder. I'm president of Kidder Architects, and I'm speaking on behalf of property owner Donald Morphy. My business address is 201 French Street, Erie, PA, 16507. Mr. Morphy purchased this lot several years ago, and at the time there was an existing structure that had been converted into a 2-unit around 1991. The building did not fit into his future development of the property, and it was removed, and the property is currently vacant right now. He is proposing to construct a new building as a single-family residence for his own personal use. As stated, that we're requesting 3 variances, and the justification is starting with the size of the property. There's 19 lots along West Front Street on the north side, this being the westernmost one in the corner, and it is by far the smallest one on the whole block, at being 23.81 feet wide and 70 feet average depth. It was laid out around 1916, and there was a single-family residence on it. I've included some support material with my letter, and at some point after it was built, a 1-car garage was constructed on the property, which is also shown on a 1951 Sanborn map in the letter I provided. That garage was removed in 1991 to provide 2 parking spaces for the home to be converted to a 2-family. And I'm not familiar with the house prior to it being removed, but the photograph I included in the justification shows that there is a 3rd floor shed dormer that I'm assuming was built when they were converted the single-family home to a 2-family, in principle making it a 3-story structure at the time. The request, starting with the lot coverage, is the design is to incorporate a 2-car garage within the footprint of the new home. And so the footprint of the house is driven by the garage, and also keeping the front porch as it was and keeping the front setback of the north side of the house where it was, to maintain the character of the neighborhood in the block as it's been since 1916. And moving the living areas to the 2nd floor, and then a bedroom, and then a 2nd bedroom on the 3rd floor. So the lot coverage increased beyond 50% because it's a very small parcel. The setback, if we kept it 2-story, it would be compliant at 3 feet. Again, we're looking to go 3-story, but the current homes along Front Street all have basements and the first floors are elevated above grade, varying degrees of 3 to 5 feet. The proposed design we're doing, because of the garage, the first floor would be at grade and no basement, and then second and third floor would be above that. So overall proposed height, we're about in character with the rest of the houses in the neighborhood. The side yard setback to 3 feet 1 3/4 inches is to be able to get a functioning garage on the property because it is only 23.8 feet wide. So we're really at the minimum for the depth of the garage, which puts us less than that 6-foot dimension. And again, that's driven by the width of the property. And then the third variance request for the 0 setback for the garage is, again, we can't even have a garage because the property is only 23.8 feet wide. And looking back at the 1951 Sanborn map, the former garage that was removed in 91 had a 0 setback. So we're just basically asking to recreate that condition.
Okay. I understand there's no one else that wants to speak in favor of this variance. Is there anyone else that would like to speak in favor of this variance? Or anyone else that would like to speak in favor of this variance? Is there anyone in opposition to the variance? Is there anyone in opposition to the variance?
Mr. Chairman, we do have a few people that were just let in that had their hand raised. So we can start with Anthony Williams.
They'll need to be sworn in.
Did you want them all sworn in at once again?
Do you want them all sworn in at once or one at a time?
I'm indifferent. We're all neighbors.
All right, am I swearing them all at once or one at a time?
All at once, Chair.
Okay,
There you go. I'm in favor of that.
all right. Whoever's going to testify, please raise your right hand and state your name after you say I do. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
I do. David Wodomski.
Russell Smith.
Candace Battles.
Okay. Is there a representative amongst the four of you, or do each of you want to speak?
I would like to speak.
Go ahead, David.
I live at 460, well, I don't live, but I own the home at 461 West Front. And I started looking at this, and the houses, when the house was there that was torn down, the gutters actually overhung each other. 463 was a taller house, but if you looked at the houses from the front, they overhung by about an inch or two. Now, reading through the document that Mr. Kidder put out, the setback was 3 foot 7 3/8 inches. And now they want the setback to be 3 foot 1 3/4 inches. So that's actually 5 or 6 inches closer. That tells me the gutters are going to even overhang more. And for the last 5 years, nobody really took care of that property. And that gutter had trees growing out of it. And every time it rained, everything flowed off that house into my gutters. Now, I understand from reading the document that a 6-foot setback is what would be required because it's a 3-story building. But I'm not the kind of guy that tries to stop progress. So I'm not asking for 6 foot. But I would, at a minimum, like 4 foot. That would give me another 6 inches or so than what I used to have, and the gutters probably would not overhang. But I am not comfortable at all with 3 foot 7 inches. I would like to see a 4 foot minimum. And like I said, I could request 6, but I'm not going to go there. And that's basically what I have to say.
You,
I would like to speak.
your name and address?
My name is Anthony Williams. I'm at 117 Walnut Street. My home is just to the south of the property in question.
Okay,
Well, a couple of things that I'd like to point out. The setback that they're requesting from Walnut Street would be out of line with the current homes. The original home, which was a perfectly viable structure, was in harmony with the rest of the neighborhood. They were all built in the same period. They were all built in the same style. And the changes that they're making, first I'd like to point out the neglect that the property's seen over the years. If you look at the exhibits on page 33, that shows how the structure was neglected when it was standing. And the page or two later, I think page 33 or 29, it shows how it was, how that lot has been neglected over the year, that it says has been demolished. It seems that he is proposing to build that home, so it now abuts mine. I had an open space, and it was quite comfortable where my property is. I think this variance would have a detrimental effect on the value of my home, having a home built that closely. And I'm also, as a neighbor, concerned about future usage. Originally, that home was occupied for about a year to 2 years. I believe it was a relative of the owner, unless it's changed hands. But it sat empty for several years and neglected. We as neighbors have had to cut the grass there on that empty lot. We've had to cut grass and shovel snow for that area for years, while the owner was completely absent. I didn't meet him until he came and demolished the original home. I don't think that's fair to the neighbors. And in speaking to the variances, let me get the page in front of me. The several points, it's point by point, it's not going to work. If you give me a moment, I'm going to find that page.
You're talking about the hardships, Mr. Williams?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, he has it listed as variance criteria. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yes, okay, I'm trying to get to that page. Bear with me for one moment. Here we go. Then the narrowness and shallowness of the lot existed, and of the building existed when he purchased the property. So it was not something that should have been a surprise. He chose to demolish a property that fit that lot, and it was completely viable as a home. So demolish that. And with the narrowness of the lot, I'm sorry, it's this is a neighborhood of residents. This is not a neighborhood where people purchase for development or for future value or I understand it may not fit with it didn't fit with his development plans, but it did fit well with the neighborhood. And it does, changing that home does essentially change the character of those streets, of the neighborhood. There are no garaged homes of that type on the street, on Walnut Street, nor on Front Street. It'd be a complete aberration to the homes that exist in that area now. There is no home with a built-in garage. It's absolutely different. And again, I don't want, as Dave said, he's going to be closer to the homes that he was never close to before. And I think giving this variance would be a hardship on the neighbors around him and on the neighborhood itself. Again, I'm greatly concerned for his maintenance and his being a present owner and in residence. He says this for residents. I think initially it was for a relative's residence, and that changed very quickly, and the home was neglected. We've had squatter problems with that home since his ownership. And it's in his own exhibit. You can see the level of neglect of the property since he's owned it. And I think that's, yes, you're welcome. One last item, that garage, the street, Walnut Street going north, that path is usually used for families and children to go to the park. I'm very concerned about a garage being right there at the street where they can back out, and it could possibly be dangerous to pedestrians.
Anything else, Mr. Williams?
I believe that's it. I'm going to stay away from my notes because I'll find something else. So,
okay, thank you very much. Okay.
You're very welcome. I'm trying to be considerate of other people's time.
Thank you. Mr. Smith or Ms. Battles?
Go ahead, Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Candace. My name's Russell Smith. I live at 437 West Front Street, about a half a block to the east of the subject property. I share Mr. Williams' concern about the 0 setback for the garage, being familiar with the number of children and pedestrians using the sidewalks in the area associated with the park. Other than that, my primary concern is the historical lack of maintenance of the property, both as a derelict building until it was torn down, and since it's been demolished, the lack of responsible care of the vacant lot and the sidewalks. It's been addressed by a number of people already. Those are my thoughts and concerns. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Smith. Ms.
My
Battles?
My name is Candace Battles, 505 West 4th Street, the neighborhood watch captain. We've had submitted several complaints to the city with the present owner regarding that property. We also, as a watch group, sent a letter to him regarding the condition of both the lot and the sidewalk. And I am in concurrence, and our group is in concurrence, what you have already heard. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else to speak in opposition of? Is there anyone else to speak in opposition to this variance? Last call. Anyone else that would like to speak in opposition to this variance? With that said, board members, do you have questions?
I have questions, Chair. To Mr. Kidder, you've heard the concern of the neighbors. Did you at least address or talk with them about his concern?
Did I speak to who?
Either one of the neighbors, west or south of the building?
Not prior to hearing their comments today.
Or east of the building, rather. Okay. Then I heard Mr. I think it's Wadomski say that he would prefer maybe 4 feet. Is that something you could accommodate in your drawing?
Well, I'd like to respond to that.
Well, I have another one before you do that one, though.
Okay.
So you've also heard the neighbor to the south of you say that the garage presents kind of a problem as it relates to the kids and the playground, which is right across the street. And if you reduce that period of time, the person comes right out of his garage, right onto the sidewalk, and there'd be 0. Is there a possibility of changing or augmenting your drawings so that the garage doesn't exist, or that you can somehow fix this?
Because of the lot size and the dimensional requirements of a garage, I see no alternatives to putting a garage with any type of driveway or setback, or having the garage door face any other way. It could face on Front Street, but I don't think that drastically alters the character of the neighborhood. And from the zero setback, from the records given to me by the zoning office, the former house that was there was zero setback from the property line. So we're proposing to maintain that zero, the same exact location of the west wall and the north wall of the proposed house is exactly where it was with the previous house based on property line. So the relationship to the sidewalk and to the street curb is identical to what was there. We're not changing anything with that. The question about the setback, I don't know what the roof overhangs were on the previous building because I had no involvement with that building. If there's an overhang issue, the maximum overhang we would put on this building would be 12 inches with a 5-inch gutter. So if we have 3 foot 1 3/4 inch overhang and a 12 inch soffit and a 5-inch gutter, we're only about halfway into that setback. So we're nowhere near overlapping the property line or overhanging his existing gutter to the east. So dimensionally, as long as we stay on our property and they stay on their property, there's no overlap of gutters. The other thing is because this would be built to meet current building codes, as Mr. Smith would know, we would be in compliant with all fire rating and fire separation setback distances on that east wall. And that may impact the overhang too, complying with fire separation. So I don't see there being a gutter issue with the new building as was with the prior.
Jeff, I think what he's asked is that it's supposed to be 6. He said he could require 6, asking us to just do what the law says it is. But he's suggesting that you add 11 more inches distance to get to 4 feet. Is that
without laying it out, I guess my concern would be dimensionally is that it might not be a usable garage to fit a car in. And I don't have I didn't look at that, so I can't give a definitive answer. But already, overall, we have the building at 20 foot 8 inches minus, 6-inch walls all said and done. So we're at a 19 foot inside of garage, 19 foot 8, and that's really getting tight to have a functioning garage. But
okay.
The other thing, I just want to say, I am not in a position to, my involvement with the project is moving forward to develop the property and for an investment to be made and create a residence for Mr. Murphy to live in. So I have no comment about past actions on the property.
Okay, was there someone that wanted to speak that had previously spoken opposing the variance?
I think Mr. Kidder or Mr. Williams wants to address Mr. Kidder's most recent comments.
Very good. Go ahead, Mr. Williams.
I think the point that's being missed here is that it being in harmony with the neighborhood is not possible with a garage. It sounds unusual, but it'd be the only home with an underground garage. I think it would be convenient for him, I'm sure. But it would not be harmonious with the rest of the neighborhood. Besides the safety concerns, and looking at the picture on page 29, will you be staying with that setback from the sidewalk of the original building? Will you be adhering to that? I'm sorry?
All questions have to be addressed to the chairman, please.
Okay. Will the current conceptualized building fit in the same footprint of the original home, which set back 2 to 3 feet? It had room for 2 condensers and about 1.5 feet of yard in front of those. So there was quite a setback from the sidewalk to the original building, and I'm concerned that they want to encroach on that even further, which again is out of harmony. All of the buildings in this neighborhood were built in 1916, 1917. They all are the same type, same structures. Now, there was a modification because of the dormer on this home, the original home. But other than that, it fit very nicely with the rest of the neighborhood. And my concern is that this building will not.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Mr. Kidder, do you want to reply?
I do. I don't know what page numbers you're referring to, but I submitted drawing number 1 and drawing number 2. Is that which?
I'm referring to the photograph that you submitted to form a 2-unit located at 463 West Front Street. You can see how it's set back from the sidewalk in that photograph.
Right, and that's exactly where the proposed building would be.
Okay, it's going to say within that exact same footprint then.
The west wall, the building in that photograph, the west wall of that building is sitting right on the property line. The grass strip, the sidewalk, and the grass between the sidewalk and curb is in the street right of way. And the new building will be exactly that same location of the west wall as the previous one. Is it zoning? Can you confirm that what I'm saying is true, that just because there's grass there doesn't mean it's on the property, it's within the street right of way?
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm understanding that.
And that's what the 2 site plans that I included. I don't know if you can see those or not. I'm not looking at what you're looking at, but what's labeled site plan 1, you can see there's a dashed rectangle representing former porch and former 2-unit dwelling, and the property, the west property line in our site plan 2 shows the porch and the west wall being exactly in the same place right on the property line as the original structure was.
Okay.
And I just want to clarify, the garage is not underground. It's just right at
I understand.
Sidewalk level.
Again, that is not in character with the neighborhood.
But tearing down houses and building driveways, like what's happened further down the block, is not in character with the neighborhood either.
Well, actually, removing a home and using the land in a different manner is normal. I think it'd be the single home in that entire neighborhood, and I think in a 2 to 3 block radius in any direction that has a built-in garage. That is not seen in that neighborhood. Have you been to the neighborhood?
Yes, I have.
Well, you may have visited with the neighbor since you were there, but that is not in harmony with the rest of the neighborhood.
Okay, we get the gist of it, Mr. Williams.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wants to speak before we call for a vote?
Mr. Chairman, it looks like Mr. Williams does want to speak again, address the board again. He had already spoken.
Briefly.
Mr. Chair, unless he's bringing up something new, I think
right.
He had to say. So if he's got something new, I think we should hear new.
Mr. Williams?
I'm sorry, it was Mr. Radomski.
Oh, okay.
Yes, can I speak?
Hello?
Briefly.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes. Can you hear us?
Yes.
All right. Yes.
Listen to what Mr. Kidder had to say about the gutters overhanging. And I know the house isn't there anymore, but they did in fact overhang. And my comment is that the houses were already too close for comfort, in my opinion. And I understand why. They were built back in the day. At the very least, my expectation was, worst case scenario, the new house would be built to the same footprint. But unbelievable to me, it's going to be 6 inches closer. Now, I don't know all the math with what the standard eaves and gutter widths are. But even if it doesn't overhang, which I still think they will, if he builds it where he wants to, for the life of me, I would have thought at the very least it would be built on the same line, not 6 inches closer, when in fact, I could ask for 6 feet. That's my only comment.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, we're gonna call for the vote.
We have a call for the vote. Ms. King,
I'm going to vote yes, and because the variance criteria has been met. But I do want to encourage Mr. Kidder via Mr. Morphy to take care of the property and be a good neighbor to the rest of the neighbors in the area as he moves forward with his project.
Mr. Dawson,
To the chair and to Mr. Kidder, I think if the neighbors have expressed a strong concern about the variance, which is encroaching upon their property and or causing some harm or detriment to the property, that it should at least be addressed. And I understand, Mr. Kidder, that you weren't able at this time to address that based on where the garage would be and not knowing how that would affect the rest of the project. So until the concerns of the neighbors are addressed, I realize the property is not configured the way the whole rest of the block or the whole rest of the neighborhood is. I think a variance could be given if you could address what the neighbors are concerned about. I'm going to vote no.
Ms. Gunchin,
Thank you. I agree with Mr. Dawson in that the hardship was not created by the property owner, but it was known to the property owner prior to design development. I hear Mr. Wadomski with the distance between the two residences. Obviously, building code does call for fire rated assembly and separations, but I have some concerns in granting the variance, and I'll be voting no. Thank you.
Mr. Manila,
Yeah, I had the opportunity to take a look at this area personally. I went down there myself and took a survey of it just to get an idea of what we were talking about here. And after reviewing the plans and being down in that particular area, I too am going to cast a no vote on this because I have additional concerns about what's being proposed. So thank you.
and Mr. Johnson.
I'll vote yes.
And we have 2 yeses and 3 nos, and the appeal is not approved.
All right, thank you. We have one more appeal for today. Tessa, you want to read that off for us?
Yes, we have appeal number 12250 by Russell Connor concerning property located at 360 East 17th Street. The appellant is seeking a use variance and a dimensional variance to construct a warehouse in a traditional neighborhood commercial zoning district. Per section 205.18, warehousing is not a permitted use in the C4 zoning district. And per section 205, there's no front yard setback permitted in the C4 zoning district, and a setback of 15 feet is being proposed. So we do have Russell Connor here to present. I'm letting him in right now.
That's the only person that's there that you can see that will speak on this variance?
I believe so. Am I right in saying that, Mr. Connor?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Connor, you need to be sworn in.
Can you raise your right hand to be sworn? Do you
Yes.
swear or affirm the testimony about you, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, Mr. Connor, do you want to explain what your plans are?
Well, I would like to build a garage to house my vehicles. Currently, I don't have anywhere to store my vehicles. I'm close to the corner of 17th and Parade, and in the wintertime, there's a lot of snow buildup, and the snow plows are coming by, and it's very tough to park on the streets. I would like to have a garage.
And how far away from where you live to where this property is? How far is it?
They're right next door. The lots are right next to each other.
Anybody else to speak?
Can I clear up a couple things? Mr. Chairman, let me clear up a couple things real quick.
Right ahead.
To the zoning office, was this a misprint? Did you mean to put down garage instead of warehouse? And if you did not, if you put it down correctly, then I have a question for Mr. Connor. Did you mean to suggest warehouse? Because you said garage, and that's considerable difference.
Yeah, I could answer that, Don. So Mr. Connor cannot combine the two parcels. Where he wants to build the garage is currently a separate parcel than where his dwelling is. And so since he can't combine the two parcels, he'll be building a, per the zoning ordinance, the garage would be a storage area for his personal belongings, which would be would fall under the definition of a warehouse.
Would the building straddle the two lots, Tessa, or would it be singularly on the second lot?
It would be singularly on the second parcel.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Anybody else to speak in favor of this variance? Anybody else to speak in favor of this variance? Anybody else to speak in favor of this variance? Is there anyone to speak in opposition of this variance? Is there anyone to speak in opposition of this variance? Is there anyone to speak against this variance? With that said, board members, do you have questions?
I have a question, Chair.
Go ahead, Deb.
To Mr. Russell Connors, is one of the two houses, you live in one of those two houses?
Yes, I do. I live at 358, which is right next to the lot. The lot is 360.
Okay. And there is a picture drawn. It looks like someone implanted a picture of what the garage would look like. Is that what you intend to do?
Yes, that is what I intend to do.
Okay. Okay.
Any other questions?
I have.
Mr. Connor. Ms. King?
I have one, Mr. King. Thank you. Mr. Connor, what materials will you be building the garage out of?
Right now, I'm undecided, but it will either be a metal building or it will be a studded garage with a 2x4.
Okay, so you'll make sure that it's something that's not distracting from the rest of the neighborhood.
Pardon? Could you repeat that?
I said it will be something that won't be distracting from the rest of the neighborhood.
Definitely not.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
could Mr. Connor explain the 1 by 60 foot property that's owned by another individual? You can see it on one of the aerial view of the parcels. It seems rather random.
It is random. And years ago, I've gone and I've contacted individuals at the county courthouse in regard to that 1 by 60 parcel that is owned by Baldwin Brothers. Every year, that 1 by 60 lot is posted for taxes. I'd never understood it, and that's the reason why I can't combine the parcels. I know, it makes no sense to me either.
Have you ever approached Baldwin Brothers?
I have not.
Well, I think that'd be the thing to do.
I understand that they own those 1x60 parcels all over the city.
I don't know that.
That's what I was told when I went, I think it's to the Pathonetary's office.
Let me call Baldwin Brothers and ask for Greg Baldwin Jr. 454-4541.
454.
Use my name. 454-4541. Use my name to get, it'll get you through.
Chair, I'd ask that you conduct the hearings in a formal manner and that we continue on with the vote if there's no other persons.
I'm ready. I'm ready to call for a vote.
Good, sir. Thank you.
Okay, we have a call for a vote. Ms. King,
I'll vote yes.
Mr. Dawson,
I vote yes.
Ms. Gunchin,
I also vote yes.
Mr. Manila,
Yes.
and Mr. Johnson.
Yes.
All right, we have 5 yeses and the appeal is approved.
Glad you asked that last we're off the record now. I'm glad you asked that last question. Was it Laura or Selena? Because I didn't want to ask why he couldn't combine the 2 lots, but now I understand.
Okay, with that said, we have a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Thank you. See you next month.
Thanks, everyone.
Excuse me, one other issue. I didn't hear us approve the minutes. Too late.
No, Ed, there was a vote.
Yeah,
Okay.
we approved them.
What happened, Ed? No, are we off the record? We're off the record.